I-70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Tonight's forecast is calling for mostly clear skies. In Alamogordo, expect an overnight low of 68. For Cloudcroft, an overnight low of 53. For tomorrow, we're looking at sunny skies, partly cloudy tomorrow night. Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 94, low of 67. Cloudcroft tomorrow, high of 77 and an overnight low near 56.
This is the Roundup on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Going from the Tularosa Basin and beyond, this is your local connection to the world of sports. From high school to college and to the pros, we cover the latest news and the biggest stories. Don't forget, this is your show. Change the topic anytime. Call us at 437-1230. The Roundup starts right now.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Hello and welcome into the show. Hope everybody's having a fine Monday. Came off a nice weekend and ready to get at it. Hopefully you've already been at it for a while. I'm used to getting into my morning show spiel. We're already pretty much through the day at this point. But 437-1230, if you'd like to call into the show, we'll recap the weekend in high school sports, football, soccer. I think that's all we had for Friday and Saturday, at least since the last time we chatted. Actually, no, Thursday night we had some volleyball as well, so we'll get into that and anything you'd like to as well. We've got a pretty busy week, and it was. And we'll go back to football on Friday night for Alamogordo. You know, it was a tough one, and the more I thought about it, it was some things that, you know, still were a struggle from last year. I remember talking about them a decent amount last season in offensive line struggles. There was no doubt that Valencia gave Alamogordo fits, and you saw late in the game when Valencia didn't have their starters in the defensive line. Tigers, the offense ran pretty well, but when the pressure was there, it was just hard to get things going. And there was also the aspect of, at least early in the game, the offense just wasn't executing very quickly. Now, not that that necessarily has to be the case, but when the offensive line isn't able to get the blocks that they need to in some cases, and if it's just one guy that's getting through, that, you know, if the read option in the backfield isn't going particularly fast, then you're ending up behind. You're at 2nd and 13 or 2nd and 15 on some plays, and that happened a lot throughout the game. You know, passing game never really got going. Really nothing offensively consistent-wise got going for the Tigers. Defense did good things. I felt like they had forced a lot of negative plays for Valencia. You know, forced turnovers, 2 interceptions, a fumble. Again, good things, but I think the other part of it was not getting off the field on 3rd down, which was a challenge for them last year. I remember that, you know, they would, you know, make it a 2nd and 12 and then go 3rd and 16, and then the team would, you know, the other side would convert. And that's demoralizing. That's hard to take. I mean, you've done the right things on the first 2 downs, and then you can't finish it out on 3rd down. It's just that's hard to keep faith in a drive. I feel like when you're giving up 3rd and longs, or even 2nd down and longs for 1st downs, it's just tough to bounce back from. So, I think, you know, physically they certainly didn't look outmatched, but I didn't think they looked outmatched against Valencia last year either. It was in a lot of ways, there was a fair amount of similarities from last year to this year. I certainly didn't feel like the team was unprepared. You know, the turnovers, you know, both were interceptions. One was on a tip. It happens. The other was on, I feel like, a combination of a missed throw and you know, receivers not maybe fighting for the ball. That was what killed Alamogordo defensively, was their receivers just, you know, especially in one-on-one situations, at least 2 or 3 times just beat Alamogordo to a football. And it's partially size, but a lot of different things that, you know, play into that. So Yeah, tough night for the Tigers. I don't know. This week is going to be a tougher team. Los Lunas is better than Valencia, guaranteed. And, how the Tigers are able to bounce back from last week. And, it doesn't necessarily mean they won't come out and play a better game this week, It's going to be harder to do so. I think, to me, I'll be very interested to see how they match up physically against Los Lunas. Last year was a tough game to watch. Not because of the Tigers losing, but physically they were overmatched. And I don't think that'll happen this year. I would be surprised. But, listen, remember I said all last week, I said before the game, I didn't know what to expect from Tiger football. And I feel like after one game, there's obviously still room for improvement, and I'm sure when we talk to Coach Cisco in the middle of the week, he'll say the same thing. Just we got to. I think he feels they're working on the right things, headed in the right direction. It's just not quite there yet. And I know the offensive line, and I was listening back to the interview after we had it last week. I think certainly concerned just because of juniors, 4 juniors on the offensive line, maybe not the experience or. The things that they wanted up to this point. So, I don't want to throw, blame any direction or the other. You can just see where the execution didn't happen the way that it needed to for the Tigers to be successful. If they have a little bit more time in the backfield, the read option will work. A couple of the nice plays were the little speed option plays that they ran. Those didn't go too bad. Quarterback, neither Braden or JP really had a whole lot of success. JP probably had a bit more success throwing the football than Braden did. But, overall it was still, I think both of them, under 50% completion, things like that. So, you really can't say, oh, we need to go one position or the other one person the other quarterback, or I don't know. I know that there's running back that they were excited about this offseason that's been injured. They may get him back at some point. That obviously could help them out a little bit, but a lot of similarities, I think, to the Valencia game last year. Now, I also haven't watched the tape, and Coach Cisco may tell me something completely different on Wednesday in terms of what he saw. So I'll be interested to to hear what his thoughts were coming out of that game and the way he viewed the team's performance. So we'll see you on Friday. And hopefully we will see you on Friday. First home football game of the year, 7 o'clock kickoff as Alamogordo takes on Los Lunas. The Tigers coming up on Friday night. So, of course, we'll be live, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff. You can always listen to us here on ESPN Alamogordo and on the ESPN Alamogordo YouTube channel, which seemed to work well for everybody. Didn't seem like we had too many major issues. I went back after, I think, on Saturday or Sunday, and just to make sure the broadcast sounded okay, and seemed like at least the post of the stream sounded okay. I apologize. The one big score for the Tigers, we had a pretty flawless broadcast technically up until that one point, but such is life. It always seems to work out that way. So apologies to Elias, who had a nice run for a touchdown, and we didn't get to you guys live. We told you afterwards, though. So just kind of a bummer, I think, more than anything else. Other games across the area, Tularosa went over Hot Springs 24-22. Close game again. Those two always seem to play pretty even matchups, it seems like. And congratulations to Coach Grace and Tularosa for getting a win, first victory of the season. They'll head over to Socorro on Friday night for their second matchup of the year. You've got the Cloudcroft Bears, who went on the road and beat McCurdy, and their return to 11-man football, 63-22. That's exciting. I was a little surprised by that. I thought that it would be, I think it was 62-33. I know I've been replacing the second numbers on each side, but I thought, returning to 11-man football, that might be a little bit of a challenge for them, but clearly they've got some, skilled kids up there, and McCurdy, wasn't a great 11-man team last year. I just thought, for a program that did play it compared to a program that didn't, I thought that Cloudcroft might struggle a little bit at McCurdy. Not at all. So good for them on that. Mission Achievement and Success Academy did beat Mescalero over the weekend, 39-24 was the final score there. So they will play at Hagerman this weekend. Cloudcroft actually gets Mission Achievement and Success Academy at home on Saturday. That's an Albuquerque school, by the way, for those that are wondering what is Mission Achievement and Success Academy. Now, I couldn't give you a detail what exactly they do there, but I can tell you that they are from the Albuquerque area. So just so you know on that. So those were our football games from the weekend, and as for the Tigers, we'll see what the season holds for Alamogordo. The games I feel like get harder from this point. I think Los Lunas is going to be a tough one. I think Ruidoso is going to be a tough game. Santa Teresa is good. I've heard a lot of positive things about Santa Teresa football, that they're going to be pretty good this year again. I want to say last year, though, out of the district opponents, Alamo played Santa T and Deming better than they played Chaparral, which, I don't know. It was kind of weird the way district worked out last season. And you got Lovington down the line. Deming still on the schedule. So we'll see. The Tigers just got to bounce back, which I feel like this is a group that, they're not going to lose faith. It certainly could have been discouraging. I think they thought I'm sure they thought about New Year. Things are going to go a little bit differently, and it was still a tough result for them. But I will say this: Valencia looks a million times better than they looked last year. And Lucero, as a spread quarterback, was really solid. He extended plays well with his feet. Good athleticism. He had pretty good arm, too. Robbie Harmio out there wearing 87, looking like Rob Gronkowski, catching 4 touchdown passes. I mean, the guy, and I don't think he was overly large compared to the Alamogordo players, but he just looked so much bigger than them. I think they listed him at 6'1". He looked like he was 6'4" out there, but 6'1" against a 5'8", 5'9" defensive back, obviously, or 6'1" against that, there's a height advantage. And he played that a little bit as well. And Lucero made good throws, too. And a couple other receivers did a good job there. But Tiger defensive line, I thought, did some good things. I thought the DBs did some good things throughout the game. Again, the defense had some shining moments in that game. And Brett Money made a 24-yard field goal, made an extra point, punted the ball really well all night. I think he had one not-so-great punt, but he was averaging almost near 40 a punt. That was very impressive. And tried a 55-yarder, didn't quite get it there. I kind of think that's a hard field to kick off of there. It real thick grass. I mean, you have grass football fields out there, but they leave theirs a little bit longer up there for some reason. Also makes it dang near impossible to read where the hash marks are. I'm not complaining. It's just it's just a challenge going up there, and it's been like that, I think, all 3 times that I've gone to a game up at Valencia High School. So I credit to them for still having a grass field. There's something about that. There's something, to me, kind of charming about the fact that, and it's a nice grass field. It's green. I know when we had our grass field here at Tiger Stadium, some parts of the field were pretty nice. Some of them were not. So, moving on. Alamogordo soccer. The boys with wins on Thursday and Saturday. Thursday, man, what a fun match Thursday was. I didn't get a chance to really talk about it on the radio. The back and forth nature of that against Los Lunas was, Los Lunas took a lead, Tigers tied it up. Los Lunas retook the lead, Tigers tied it up at 2-2. Then Alamo took a 3-2 advantage. Then Los Lunas was able to tie it back up, and then late on a really nice kind of give-and-go play, and Julian Torres had the assist to Lucas Birch, and you see the skill level with this group. And here's something you can also see. Being state champs, everybody's coming for you. And I think that they knew that was going to happen. And, this is a different group this year. This is not the same team it was last year. A lot of the same kids. You look at the back line, I think they're pretty much the same. Players that obviously, with the exception of, I think, 3 or 4 guys, starting 11's, pretty much same deal. So, 3 really solid wins in week 1. It could have been very easy for the Tigers to get off to a slow start this year with, losing some key players from last year and just trying to live up to, being state champs last year. And I just don't think it phases them. It's impressive. So Hobbs is a good team. I think Los Lunas is pretty good. And then, of course, played Chaparral on Saturday, and it was exactly what you expected it to be. One of the Chaparral assistant coaches got thrown out of the game. When they come up here, it is. I think it would probably be best for that not to be a scheduled game anymore. I don't think they like coming up here, and they're just on the officials constantly. And there was a penalty call in the box that went the Tigers' way, and as with anything in any sport, it's a judgment call. I've always said judgment calls, certainly you can disagree with him, but what are you going to do? He has to make a decision, made a choice. Chaparral didn't like it, and he was on the officials for a while, and then I think right before halftime was when the official started kind of cursing. Not the official. Let me restate that. The assistant coach for Chaparral. So they were very well behaved in the second half, and I thought the Chaparral players handled themselves very well. I mean, there really wasn't too much of an issue between the Alamo and Chaparral players at all. I mean, I've seen that be a very different case in other games, but, and this is a wide observation. I don't want to be critical of the Chaparral side, and I've seen this from a lot of different teams. When the coaches are constantly talking to the officials, that bleeds over to the players. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a discussion, ask them why they did that, can you please explain it to me? But when you're screaming and yelling on every single call, and again, this is not just Chaparral, and listen, I've seen the Alamogordo side have the same thing. You get upset when you feel like you're deserved a call and didn't get it, or usually what ends up happening is there's not a foul called that you feel like should have gone in your favor, and then the other side, the other team gets a call. And it's basketball. I mean, you get the same thing there. Very, very much a similarity, I think, between being an official in soccer and basketball. That you have that judgment call that you have to make sometimes. And I don't know the point. Listen, if you feel like the officiating was that incompetent after the game, you contact the NMAA. Simple as that. But, yelling and screaming and getting into arguments with the officials, I think at the high school level, especially with the shortage of officials that we have. And you can throw football into that mix as well of having to make judgment calls on things. And I'm sure a lot of coaches that would, just say the officials need to suck it up, but I'll sit here and say that, that you just gotta, there are always going to be calls that'll go against you. And fans need to know that too, and maybe remind themselves of that before they go out there. As for the rest of the game, by the way, it was 1-1 at halftime. Tigers were the better team in the second half and got a nice goal from Junior Barbosa. He had the second goal? Yeah. He put the Tigers in front. And then late in the game, the Tigers were pushing, and a deflection went off a Chaparral player into their own net, so an own goal. But that's a nice win over Chaparral. Without them being in the same district anymore, I'll be real surprised if Alamogordo's on that schedule anymore. Just, it's, again, I don't know if either side really wants it anymore. And I felt like kind of fun in district the last couple of years. And Chaparral is always immensely talented. You can't say enough about those kids. I think the coaches do a great job with those kids. But I can't think of too many times where I've seen a coach or a player sent off. And I want to say, was it a Chaparral player that got sent to the bus last year? I don't know if that was Chaparral, actually. I think that was the playoff game Alamo had here. I think it was Los Lunas. Yeah, that was Los Lunas. I'm sorry. I don't place the blame there. That was a Los Lunas player in that home playoff game the Tigers had 2 seasons ago. Not last year, obviously, but the season before. And that wasn't even, not even a local official. So you're getting hometown. Alamogordo girls soccer cruised 10-0 past Chaparral over the weekend. Shauna Williams had 4 goals. Dion Molina and Cheyenne Drake each had 2. Sydney Dorchester and I think Gabby Sandoval had a goal. I think I got everybody there. But it was a nice win for them. They get their home opener Tuesday. They play Carlsbad tomorrow out at Reiner Steinhoff Soccerplex. Volleyball on Thursday. Alamogordo with a straight sets win over Ruidoso. Solid win. I mean, 25-8, 15-15. Very nice to-the-point win for them. So congrats to the Lady Tigers on the victory, and they'll be back at home tomorrow against... I'm trying to remember, was it Carlsbad? I'm thinking of the soccer team, aren't I? Let's see. Volleyball has Chaparral tomorrow. And then Valencia on Thursday. So they're at home both games this week. So this week will be the last time they're home until the 18th when they open up district. So just a heads up on that. They've only got 2 home matches. They've got 2 home matches this week and then won't have one till the middle of September. So if you want to get out there and see some Lady Tiger volleyball, this is the week to make it happen. Tularosa volleyball was a straight sets winner over Hatch on Thursday. That's a nice win for them. And I'm slightly unsure. I believe they play Capitan tomorrow. Now, on both schedules that I found, it's listed for Saturday, but on their Facebook page, they said Tuesday. So I'm going to go with that one. I've had this, I'll tell you, more than Alamogordo, I'm usually right on with the schedule. Thule, Cloudcroft, Mescalero, I've always had a little bit of a challenge there. So if I miss on some of those, apologies in advance, not doing it on purpose. Mescalero volleyball lost in 4 sets on Thursday night, and they're back at it, let's see, tomorrow night as they host Dexter. And I don't think I'm missing anybody else. Cloudcroft, looks like they don't start their season until the Eunice tournament this weekend. I don't have results. I was looking for results for the Trails to Rails 3 mile up in Cloudcroft on Saturday. I didn't see anything, unfortunately. And Alamo Cross Country gets started this week on Saturday. They're going to head up to Capitan. Otherwise, that appears to be it for all the local stuff. So I thought an interesting first full week of high school sports. Some good soccer over the Soccerplex. I thought all 3 matches were highly entertaining, and hoping for the same with girls soccer coming up this week. Hopefully some more good volleyball for Alamogordo this week. Chaparral's been pretty solid volleyball the last couple of years, so we'll see what Alamogordo can do there, and then what they can do on Thursday. Who did I say that was Thursday? Lovington? I literally just looked at it. Valencia. I think Valencia volleyball is pretty good. I have to look back at last year, but my feeling is that they were. But we'll find out on Thursday. And those are both 6:30 start times, by the way, coming up there. Tuesday, Wednesday, girls, or Tuesday, Thursday, girls soccer. 7 p.m. against Carlsbad. I wonder if they changed that. I know they changed the boys to 6. But I guess they didn't change the girls. Lovington's a 6 p.m. start time. Not sure on that. I'll tell you what, the start times used to be pretty set in stone, 5 and 7. There are a lot of different start times. Once district starts, it's 5 and 7. It's pretty static, but outside of that, it's a little bit different. So, by the way, next boys' home game is until district is underway on the 15th when they host Centennial. So, a little bit of a wait to see boys soccer. But I tell you what, you had a great chance to see them this week, and had 3 different games to go and check it out. So, still some more games. You'll have that'd be 6 more home games left. 7 teams in the district. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's take our first commercial break. Reminder, you can always call in 437-1230. More of the roundup right after this on ESPN Alamogordo.
Score big with great savings at Justin's Motor Company. Hustle on down to one of Justin's 2 locations. Cars, trucks, SUVs, Jeeps, you name it. Justin's Justin's has it. Makes and models to fit any budget and the best customer service in town. One-stop online shopping makes your next car buying experience a breeze. Check out the full inventory, meet the staff, even apply online. All at JustinsMotorCompany.com. 2 locations conveniently located on the Holloman Highway or 489-5820 Justin's Motor Company.
Stop by White Sands Motorsports right here in Alamogordo for all your power sport needs. White Sands Motorsports carries Honda, Yamaha, and Roxor. New to the store, Can-Am and Textron side-by-side vehicles. As always, they handle parts and services for all makes and models. For the best power sport deals on 2 or 4 wheels, White Sands Motorsports has got you covered. Open Tuesday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 9:30 to 5. 21070 Highway 70 or visit motorsportsofnewmexico.com.
If you find yourself frustrated because your internet is slow, then you need to call Tularosa Basin Telephone Company. They have the speed, the reliability, and the customer service to turn your frustration into smiles. Now, doesn't that sound like a better plan? Call Tularosa Basin Telephone Company at 585-2700 and get connected today.
When you hear the term Outfitters of Champions, you know it's the Winner's Circle. They can do all your custom silk screen and embroidery on hats, shirts, and jackets. Whether it's for your business, team sales, special events, or personal use. The Winner's Circle is the place for quality work at reasonable prices with group and team discounts available. They also customize trophies, personalized plaques, and sporting gear. The Winner's Circle, 1201 10th Street, or give them a call at 437-9373.
This is Brandon with Desert Sun. I'm not sure if you all know this, but Desert Sun Auto Group consists of 5 dealerships across the great state of New Mexico. This means we have 5 new car departments with over 500 vehicles to choose from and over 200 quality pre-owned vehicles. Majority of these vehicles, when bought from us, are backed with Desert Sun's lifetime powertrain protection. Stop by either Desert Sun Motors or Desert Sun Toyota today and let us help you find your new ride. See our full inventory at DesertSunMotors.com.
When someone thinks they have a better idea, like a new way to make it or a new place to take it, they start their own business. Every small business has not-so-small ambitions. We can help you with about every financial service you'll need, like e-statements to save your filing space, mobile banking from your smartphone, lines of credit for expansion, and online account access. To us, there's nothing small about small business. First National Bank, member FDIC. When you grow, we grow.
We normally like to deliver positive and good news during these kindness moments, but I'm afraid the news today is anything but that. The National Safety Council is reporting that cell phone use while driving is leading to 1.6 million accidents per year. That's 330,000 injuries occurring from texting and driving. And sadly, 11 teenagers a day are being killed as a result. These numbers are not going to take care of themselves. While laws are being implemented and policed, the real solution for these statistics is going to have to come as a result of awareness, which comes as a result of conversation. Make sure your children and students are aware of the hazards of cell phone use when driving. Talk to them about these statistics and encourage, beg, or monitor, whatever it takes, to share the urgency of this danger. Safety of our kids is our #1 objective. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we were separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no
and had
time.
no idea how to find each other.
My husband kept the kids
tried
occupied.
calling our son, but there was no reception. Everything was down. I felt like breaking down and crying, but I had to try and stay calm. The whole experience was the most frightening 10 hours of my life. It was kind of like
a
the
little
nightmare
family
every
adventure.
mother hopes will never happen to her. I
remember
the moment
relief of
that
being
I
together.
realized he was out there all alone. If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there,
it's to stay
it's
calm
don't ignore
and keep
this
to the
message.
plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back. 437-1230 if you'd like to call into the show for today. Man, I'll tell you what, we got some exciting stuff coming up this week on ESPN Alamogordo. College football gets started in earnest. We'll talk about... I sat and watched all of Saturday's game. I don't want to say I was forced to. I'm an Aggies fan. I love my Aggies. I would have turned that game off by halftime if I wasn't kind of making sure we were staying on the air on Saturday. We had some technical difficulties, so had to run things manually for the station. That was the only reason I watched that game all the way through. Anyway, D-backs this week. The Giants games, which are today through Wednesday. All of them are 8:15 start times out in the Bay Area. We've got Aggies football on Thursday as they take on Minnesota. So a short week for NMSU after a late night on Saturday. That's kind of a tough week for them, but you know, when you're an independent and you're just trying to find people to schedule, you'll probably have to do things you would choose rather not to. Let's put it that way. Tigers football, of course, on Friday night. We'll be live from Tiger Stadium versus Los Lunas. And then we've got Washington versus Auburn, Louisville versus Alabama. Both of those are neutral site games on Saturday for your college football kickoff weekend. D-backs on Saturday or Sunday with a matchup with the Dodgers. Then we've got Miami versus LSU in a neutral site matchup there. That'll be Sunday night. With Monday afternoon on Labor Day, Red Sox at Braves, then D-backs versus Padres. We got a lot of baseball. We got a lot of football. Feels like a pretty good week coming up. Yeah, watched most of that game. I desperately missed the quarterback situation of last year, which was shaky at times for NMSU. First game, I guess you'd say, for Romero, but Janty, I always forget how to say his name correctly. I mean, he played a little bit last year and wasn't especially great, so I don't know. You know, listen, last year was a great year for New Mexico State, and I think Wyoming's defense is legitimate. I will say that. Wyoming's really, really good. I think they might have a chance to win the Mountain West this year. I think. You know, and that's the deal for New Mexico State. Their defense did a lot of good things, I thought. Just gave up a couple of big plays and were on the field way too much. That was the bigger problem for them. It just the offense didn't get them off the field at all in that game on Saturday night. So, you know, that's the double-edged sword of being on national television. Is, you know, you're on national TV, but if you don't play especially well, it's kind of a bummer. So, it was kind of a bummer on Saturday for NMSU, but you know, I'm sure Wyoming liked the national showcase. There really wasn't much other college football last week, and you had Colorado State and Hawaii, who, Hawaii looked really good. Impressive for them. But, back to the drawing board a little bit for the Aggies. At least quarterback situation, that's got to get better. And Minnesota's not going to be easy. That's a program that seems to be on the rise. So, we'll see. I think a short week and a long road trip. I don't have high hopes for Thursday night. And they're kind of on national television on Thursday night. I think it's a Big Ten network game, so yay. You knew that game was going to... I mean, that's a money game. You knew that game was going to be tough for NMSU anyway, but they've got a lot of... and I don't even want to say easy wins. They certainly have an easier schedule than they did last year. To a point. I think a lot of those Sun Belt teams they played last year weren't especially good either, so we'll see what happens for the Aggies the rest of the season. But I was, as I tweeted out, quarterback play was less than ideal throughout that entire game. It was not good, but such as it is. So, yeah, NMSU plays on Thursday. I think New Mexico and UTEP are both Saturday games this week. Let me see. I thought I had those teams. Thought I had those teams saved as my favorites on here. I guess I didn't. Bad me. I gotta scroll through all this to find the games going into the weekend. Oh well. But good college football weekend. I'm gonna tell you right now, enjoy the games this Saturday and Friday and some of the ones that are out there, because it is not an especially good second weekend of college football. So enjoy, because Northern Arizona at UTEP, by the way, headed into this week. And New Mexico has Incarnate Word, right? Yeah. Is Incarnate Word Division I yet? I wanted to say they were on the track to doing that. I don't think they are, though. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. So, anywho, that'll be... I mean, you would feel like those are two games that both UTEP and New Mexico should win, but we'll obviously have to wait and see on that. And UTEP looking to have a better season than last year, and same with New Mexico. And I know a lot of people went into the year feeling like maybe New Mexico State was the best of the three teams. They were last year. We'll see if they are this year. I don't know. Can be an argument made towards that, but you also got to remember there's a lot of different pieces. Not having Larry Rose and a few other guys in that rotation for NMSU makes them a little bit of a lesser team than they were last year. So it's their big wide receiver. They had the first player drafted for NMSU in they say like 15 years, something crazy like that. So it was going to be a bit of a transition this year, you would think. So anyway, high school football. Let's get to some of those scores. I didn't. I knew there was something. I go through my list of usually things on Monday. It's usually the first Monday after high school football, and I got to kind of retransition into the things that we chat about. And yeah, it's always a challenge to try to get back into that and not forget what exactly we usually talk about this time of year. So I'm trying to find my list of... Usually there's a place to go find scores here on Max Preps, but I'm going to have to get there the hard way, it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. The way they have this set up on here is kind of silly. I guess I need filters. You can go directly to... The way they have this set up is not through states, but through cities. That's about the dumbest thing I've seen. Anyway, I'll have to grab something else to get to some of the scores from the weekend. But nothing huge stood out. I think Las Cruces High beating Manzano pretty handily on Saturday was certainly an intriguing score, to say the least. And there was a little bit of debate between Mark Rudy, who usually calls, and I don't know if it was a debate. Mark, I think, called it a statement win. James Yotis, who writes for the Albuquerque Journal, and it's not a statement win. I don't know. First game of the season, probably not a statement win for anybody, but defending state champs went down. So, that's, I think, something. It's at least impressive, and it was a rather dominant win at that. So, let's see some of the scores. Friday, Highland over Rio Grande, 16-12. Rio Grande has lost 39 or 38 straight games now. I just feel bad for that group, man. That's tough. I mean, I feel bad for the Alamogordo kids that have been on the streak that they're on, and this is, 4+ or at least 4 seasons worth of games for Rio Grande. That's just... And that's right there, that's a winnable game against Highland for Rio Grande. Highland is one of, you've got your teams in the Albuquerque area that are good at football. Highland and Rio Grande are not those. At least they haven't been in the past. Not in the recent past, let's put it that way. I know Highland has had some good football teams over the years, but it's been a while. Cibola beat Sandia 27-21. Now, I would say those are kind of mid-level Albuquerque area teams. So... Eunice beat the Hobbs JV 56-14. Clovis JV beat Clayton 37-7. Let's try to find scores that are interesting. Los Lunas beat Piedra Vista 22-6. That's a nice win for Los Lunas. PV's, I don't know. They're back down to 5A in football this year. They're not a 6A program in football. They are, I think, they're in the top classification and everything else, though. Lovington beat Chaparral 49-0. Yeah, that'll be interesting when Alamogordo plays Lovington. I think Lovington's going to be a tough one. Ruidoso beat Crown Point 54-0. Dexter over Santa Rosa 21-14. That's a good early season matchup. And oh, you know what? They're in different classifications now, aren't they? Wait, maybe not in football. No, I think they are. Yeah, because Thule's in the district with Dexter, Nimi, Tucumcari. I think Santa Rosa is a classification below now. So Santa Rosa is actually in the same class that that Cloudcroft is in. So we'll see how that works. Whereas, you've got your Robertsons and West Las Vegas and St. Mike's that are playing in the same class that Tularosa is now. It's definitely a little bit different. By the way, West Las Vegas beat Moriarty 35-15. Newcomb over San Navajo Prep 31-0. Hatch beat Estancia 17-12. That's a nice win. See, and I want to say Estancia, they're in the classification with Cloudcroft, whereas Hatch is up there with Tularosa. It's really confusing, man. There's little slight tweaks. I'm used to Estancia being in the same class with Thule, and now they're, I think, in the same class with Cloudcroft. It's strange, man. Weird stuff. Let's see. Bayfield beat Farmington. That's Colorado School, 54-13. Carlsbad beat Artesia, 28-14. So do we watch out for Carlsbad, or is Artesia kind of down this year? I would say the first one probably more than anything else. But a perfect example of we don't know what we got yet till we play some games this season. I think all of us sat there and went, yeah, Artesia's going to win that game. And Carlsbad hadn't won that matchup, and they play every year, the Eddy County War. I think since 2011. 7 straight years that they had lost that game. Valley beat Albuquerque High 29-8. All right, now I'm confused. There's a score in here that says Estancia beat Tucumcari 28-26, but they lost to Hatch. That can't be right. Let's go find that. I'm reading this. There's New Mexico high school football. There's a Twitter feed, which is normally very, very accurate, but now he's got me questioning things. There's 2 different scores. I'm sure that was just a typo, I think. Fort Sumner beat Nimi 48-0. Says a lot about Fort Sumner, man. That's going up a classification, and they housed them. Well, it's Fort Sumner /house, so yeah, of course they did. Gateway Christian over Tatum 42-6. That's 8-man football. Goddard beat St. Pius 48-13. That's a nice win for Goddard. Not sure where St. Pius is there. I know they lost they lost Diego Pavia, who was their quarterback last year. He was the one who replaced I can't remember who the QB was the year they won the state title. That we got to see him down here that season. That was their only loss that year too. But we saw Pavia last year, and he was very good. And I think he went to Volcano Vista, if I remember right. And there's still a question mark of whether he's going to get a chance to play or not. I hadn't heard a final verdict on that yet. I think there's still some appeal processes that are going down there. La Cueva beat Volcano Vista 38-26. Volcano Vista was they were leading that game for a good while there. So the Hawks might be pretty solid this season. And then again, I talked about it last week that La Cueva, there were a lot of people that were really talking them up. There were a lot of people that have been saying, maybe they're not as good as they were last year. Again, we hadn't played a game yet, but everybody's going to have an opinion. You just can't help it. Aztec over Miyamura, 49-20. Bernalillo beat Gallup, 43-6. Deming beat Gadsden, 18-12. Texaco over Jow, 30-20. Clovis beat Hobbs 32-21. I was mildly surprised by that one. That was in Hobbs. I guess I expected for as good as Hobbs was last year, but again, that was last year. Completely different group this season. Nothing like overestimating things. That's what we're good at. Hope Christian over Portales 10-3. A lot of green on the field in that game. Robertson beat Santa Fe High 29-2. Interesting score. El Dorado over West Mesa 32-3. Mayfield had a nice win as well. Let me see if... Where is that? Beat Atrisco 45-13. Now, I don't know how good Atrisco is going to be this year, but that's nice for Mayfield to get off to a start that way. And, a lot of people thought Mayfield had a bad year last year. They had some players transfer out that maybe they were going to struggle. There was a lot of talk that they didn't look good in their scrimmage. You don't focus too hard at scrimmages. Now, their schedule, I think, gets harder from this point, but that's still a nice win on the road up in Albuquerque, I feel like, for Mayfield. Belen over Del Norte, 40-21. Del Norte's always been a solid Albuquerque team, and they're usually playing a class below what the other schools are playing. Boy, Taos crushed St. Mike's, 59-18. So there you go. And I mentioned the Cruces Manzano score. So some interesting games. I think the ones that probably stood out to me more than anything else, Cruces over Manzano, Carlsbad over Artesia. Just, you got a team coming off a state championship. Carlsbad's always pretty good. They got a ton of kids. I mean, it's one of those that I feel like Carlsbad and Hobbs every year should be pretty good. But that's just, sometimes it works out in a few different ways. So I need to go find out what what happened to Estancia, because now I'm confused by some of the scores on here. It's probably maybe there was an Espanola that was supposed to be in there. That would be my guess. One of those was Espanola Valley, and one of them was Estancia. I just don't know which one was which. So I'll let you guys know on that. I know you're probably waiting with bated breath on that. So, but NMHSFB is the Twitter feed. Pretty good place to find high school football scores across New Mexico. He updates that pretty good on Friday and Saturdays. So if you're curious, that's a good place to go. You always have NM Preps, but obviously if you want NM Preps, you got to pay for it. So, that's obviously a choice that you have to make. I've always said that, if you're really into New Mexico high school sports, it's a good bang for your buck. Max Preps at some point updates, but it's usually not very fast. And I know the TV stations obviously are out there trying to get scores as quickly as best as they can. So there's a number of places. High school football is usually not too difficult because most of the games are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's pretty condensed, and whereas I think some of the other sports it's a little bit harder. And it also depends on the size of the schools. I mean, if the bigger schools, usually the scores get out there. Some of the smaller schools, and they can be a little bit tougher for that to happen. All right, let's fit in a commercial break. We'll come back. If you want to call in, 437-1230. More of the roundup for you right after this.
There are no roadblocks scheduled today on either Highway 70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Tonight's forecast is calling for mostly clear skies. In Alamogordo, expect an overnight low of 68. For Cloudcroft, an overnight low of 53. For tomorrow, we're looking at sunny skies, partly cloudy tomorrow night. Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 94, low of 67. Cloudcroft tomorrow, high of 77, and an overnight low near 56.
What makes Vision Ford Lincoln Hyundai unique? At Vision Ford, we're all about you, your vision, your style, your needs, and your story. Vision is fully stocked with dozens of the hottest 2018 models, including the Ford F-Series, America's #1 selling truck for 40 years. With financing options that fit every budget and a sales team dedicated to you, Vision Ford Lincoln Hyundai continues the Yes We Can tradition. All we need is you. Visit us today at 1500 South White Sands Boulevard or 24/7 online at visionfordlincoln.com. What can Big O Tires do for you? They offer trained and certified ASC technicians, nationwide warranty protection, and state-of-the-art equipment. Services include oil, lube, and filter, batteries, brakes, and alignment. Big O strives to provide dependable and expert service at a great price, a wide range of diagnostic, maintenance, and repair services backed by one of the best national warranties. 621 North White Sands in Alamogordo, 1305 North Main Street in Roswell, and 26131 Highway 70 in Rodoso. Big O Tires.
Lose weight, be happier, get smarter, improve your memory, all by doing one thing. Sleep well. Tax time in 2018 is your chance to catch up on great sleep. Use your hard-earned tax refund to buy yourself the one thing that can make the biggest difference in your health, a new mattress to get better sleep. Sleep Well is here to help you find the right mattress for your needs. Back problems? Too heavy snoring? Sleep Well can help you. Sleep hot? Your partner toss and turn? No problem. Sleep Well can help. Corner of First and White Sands. Sleep Well. When you sleep well, you live well.
Is your back-to-school list getting a little longer than you expected? OFCU's Visa Platinum Credit Card eases the unexpected. OFCU's Visa Platinum Credit Card gives you an interest-free grace period of at least 25 days on new retail purchases when the balance is paid in full each month. No fees for cash advances at OFCU's ATMs and branches. Back to school with OFCU is as easy as ABC. All loans subject to credit approval. Other restrictions may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. OFCU, 3 branches in Otero County. Call 434-8500.
The KNMZ Football Roundtable is back for its 31st season. 5 local business people and their best football prognostications every Friday at 11 a.m. on ESPN Alamogordo. Manny Gonzalez from Charles Garland and Harris Agency. Donna Columbus of First National Bank. Brandon Burling from Desert Sun Auto Group. Timothy Brock of Christ Community Church. And Jake Roberts of Caldwell Banker Sudderth Nelson. The KNMZ Football Roundtable, Fridays at 11 a.m. on Southern New Mexico sports leader, ESPN Alamogordo 103.7.
Darren College, a former NFL Super Bowl champion, signed the most important contract of his life to serve in the Army National Guard.
The National Guard for me was a perfect fit. I've had a lot of military in my family. It's a big part of what my family's done for a long time. I want to go out there and make a difference. I want to be a part of something bigger than myself. I didn't find that in the normal day-to-day life. I didn't find that working behind a desk. I realized being hands-on and being a soldier was something that would keep me active, keep me outside, keep me in that team environment that I craved and that I needed so much. And then the opportunity to serve my community and serve my country was just icing on the cake. I wanted to be in Boise, Idaho. I wanted to be home. The National Guard gave me the opportunity to stay right where I was, serve my country and my community, and it was the best of both worlds. I grew up flying bush planes in Alaska with my dad. I was fortunate enough to get my pilot's license. I wanted to be in helicopters. I wanted to be a crew chief. The Army National Guard gave me a chance to fly helicopters now instead of fixed-wing aircraft.
To learn how to be part of the Army National Guard, log on to nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the New Mexico Army National Guard. Aired by the New Mexico Broadcasters Association and this station.
I grew up in a normal home in a normal town. All of a sudden, everything got crazy. I didn't talk to anybody about the way I was feeling. I started drinking. I just didn't want to deal with what was happening in my life. I knew about AA, but thought I was too young. I found out I was wrong. If you have a problem with your drinking, why don't you give AA a call? Alcoholics Anonymous. It works.
For the local AA hotline, call 430-9502. That's 430-9502.
You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back into the show. 437-1230. By the way, Hatch Valley did beat Estancia. Escalante beat Tucumcari. That's Escalante playing up, what? No, it's just one class. That's 2A, 3A. I'm going to get this correct at some point. Don't know when that's going to be. I don't know if that's going to be this season or not. We'll see. Smaller. Each class is smaller, but you also don't have 2A that only has 7 teams. They've got 19 now compared to what they had previously. So football's a little bit better balanced than what it was, and I think you also avoid. There's, I don't know. You're never going to end up where there's not going to be a spot where much smaller schools are going to be in big classifications where they're just going to be outnumbered. And I can't remember. I was chatting with the Valencia softball coach was closing down the press box on Friday night. And number one, I didn't realize how small a school Valencia is. I think there are only 700 or 800 students, where Los Lunas is, 1,400, 1,500, kind of more Alamogordo size. And there was another school that he was mentioning, the number difference and where they were in Class 5A football to the top teams. And it's there's always going to be teams on the bottom end that are going to be are going to have a challenge, and it's going to be tough for them to compete. Which I don't know. There's a lot of teams that you would say that may not compete anyway. So I don't know. That's a hard one. Santa Fe High has a big number of students, and man, they're not a good football program. Never have been. Rio Grande's got a decent amount of students as well, and there's a few schools in Albuquerque for whatever reason. The kids know where they want to go when they're going to play football in the metro area, and it's La Cueva, it's El Dorado, probably Volcano Vista. I mean, even the Rio Rancho schools, I know they can't get in those unless they live in Rio Rancho, but a lot of interesting dynamics, I feel like, in the two big cities. And I bet you probably have it in the Farmington area, too. And I'm not sure. I'm also not sure what the situation is in Roswell. That's when I'm always a little curious. And I hear so much about how there's such a clear difference between one side of town and the other in Roswell. And you talk about a legit rivalry, based on, district lines, things like that. I mean, that's an intriguing one, maybe one of the most interesting ones to me in the state. But I wonder what the dynamics are, up in Farmington with Piedra Vista, and then you throw in all the other areas there with Kirtland Central and Bloomfield, and I think there's one or two other high schools in that northwest part of the state, San Juan Valley. Interesting. Albuquerque has the private schools, obviously, that have an impact. Maybe not as much in football. St. Pius certainly has, but Hope Christian doesn't really get up there in the football part of it. Clearly, boys basketball, they're very, very good. So they've had some good football teams, I want to say, in the past. Maybe I'm just remembering that incorrectly. That always a possibility. If you weren't with us at the top of the show, recapped all the high school sports in the area from the weekend. Tiger football defeated at Valencia. Tularosa football at home, the win over Hot Springs. Cloudcroft goes on the road and beats McCurdy and are at home for their home opener this weekend. Mescalero goes to Hagerman after their loss to Mission Achievement and Success Academy from Albuquerque. They're back down here to play Cloudcroft this weekend. And Alamogordo boys soccer win on Thursday over Los Lunas, so win on Saturday over Chaparral. They go to Carlsbad tomorrow and then are at the Los Lunas tournament at the end of the week. Meanwhile, Alamogordo girls soccer host Carlsbad Tuesday, host Lovington on Thursday, and then they play the Las Cruces tournament. So they're going to play 5 games in 4 days. It's going to be a tough schedule for them for sure. So, and that Cruces tournament, it's always been a pretty good challenge for them. So we'll see what they can do against Carlsbad and Lovington this week. I think Carlsbad's going to be really tough. Carlsbad girls soccer, at least over the years, has been pretty darn good. Lovington feels like a pretty even matchup. I think they played them in recent years. And then we'll see what happens, obviously, in the Cruces tournament. So, volleyball, Alamogordo with the win on Thursday over Ruidoso. They host Chaparral tomorrow, and then Valencia on Thursday. Tularosa volleyball got a win over Hatch on the road last Thursday. They are at Capitan, I believe, tomorrow. One schedule tells me one thing, and then something else tells me another, and I just... Because it also says they're playing Cloudcroft on Thursday, but I'm almost 100% sure that that's not happening. They're going to play them next week, so... I'm trying to keep up, man. Trying to keep up. We've got Cloudcroft volleyball. They'll go to the Eunice tournament this weekend. Mescalero volleyball, they've got Dexter tomorrow after a loss to Gateway Christian last week. Alamogordo cross country goes to Capitan to open up their season this weekend. Cloudcroft cross country opened up their season this past weekend at their home event. I think we got everybody. That was a quick little recap of what took me, 10-15 minutes earlier on in the show. Actually, longer than that. All right. It's a good first weekend of high school football. Got some interesting stuff out there. We'll see what we get in week 2. And, of course, we got a lot of high school sports all across the week. So keep up with it. Facebook.com/ESPN Alamogordo. Follow me on Twitter @Charles Winicky. Just search ESPN Alamogordo. I'm almost completely sure my name comes up. A lot easier way than go, how do you spell Winicky? I don't blame you if you don't know how to spell it. And other than that, oh yeah, tuning into this show is a good way to keep up with what's going on as well. Reminder, you can always listen to us on the station, 103.7, or online. We're at ESPN Alamogordo, or youtube.com/ESPN Alamogordo, so you can find us there as well. You guys have a great rest of your day. I will talk to you tomorrow, 2 o'clock, right here on the Roundup on ESPN Alamogordo.
Hey, it's Trey Wingo. You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7, Southern New Mexico sports leader, KNMZ Alamogordo.
Gotten his big payday. ESPN's Josina Anderson reporting the superstar receiver agreed to a 5-year extension with the Giants worth $95 million, $65 million total guaranteed. He becomes the NFL's highest paid player, will average $20 million a year the first 3 seasons. Beckham deserved the contract, believes ESPN's Damian Woody.
These guys put their bodies on the line, and when you go out there and you perform the way that Odell Beckham has performed, and I get it, he missed all of last year, but we saw